This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick Gilchrist. I'm the Warning Coordination Meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Glasgow, Montana. And this is your drought and climate outlook / briefing for Eastern Montana. And today is July 15th, 2021. So a quick look back on where we are for precipitation. This is a map that shows January through June precipitation. And you can see that most of Eastern Montana is in that much below average category. It's a little bit of a strip across Western Montana up towards the western reaches of the High Line. And then again, a few counties standing out a little bit in Eastern Montana as well, being still below average, but obviously they're doing a little bit better when it comes to precipitation. But again, see the vast majority of Eastern Montana is in that much below average category for precipitation for the year. And that runs through June. So county temperature ranks, again, January through June recap. You can see again, most of the state of Montana, with a few exceptions in the central portion, are above average temperature-wise. So it's been a very warm and very dry year so far, I guess, across Eastern Montana, with just a couple of slight exceptions. Looking at, again, January through current time frame, so this is through the middle of July, looking at precipitation percentiles. And you can see, again, much of Montana is very much lacking on the precipitation side. A lot of areas, a big strip from Valley County down through southwest Montana, you can see is in the 0 to 10th percentile for precipitation. And again, across northwest Montana as well, big areas of that 0 to 10th percentile. But it is a little bit interesting at how there are some areas that are doing better as far as precipitation percentiles go and overall precipitation across Eastern Montana. Some pockets down across south central Montana and into southeast Montana. And again, across northeast Montana, some areas are doing better. Still drought, have a lot of drought concerns still in drought, but are doing better than some of the other areas. For example, Valley of Phillips, Garfield, and into petroleum counties, very much on the dry side, very much crispy, as it were, as far as the grasses and the crops and the fuels go. July trends for temperatures. So this is just a month to date temperature wise. You can see most of Eastern Montana, anywhere from 3 to 9 degrees above normal. So again, we've continued that overall warm trend, and you can see from a national perspective, it's been very warm across much of the inland Pacific Northwest into the Northern Rockies, down into the Great Basin. And then what's interesting on the flip side of that is when you go further south into Texas, Oklahoma, they've actually been on the cooler side. So some areas, definitely feeling the impacts of that heat. And I know certainly in Eastern Montana, that's going to stand out in my mind when I remember the summer of 2021 is going to be just how hot it's been and how many triple digit temperatures we saw or will see. On the precipitation side, you can see again a little bit of a spotty map here for the state of Montana. You can see much of Western Montana very much on the dry side. When you get out east, though, there are a few locations that have received some precipitation. And again, any precipitation is useful, but I think this might overdo a little bit of the blotchiness that exists. And really, this is coming from showers and thunderstorms, and showers and thunderstorms are very localized in nature. So some areas did receive some beneficial precipitation from showers and thunderstorms so far this month, but by and large, what's still standing out is a lack of precipitation as a whole across Eastern Montana. And with those deficits come, again, continued drought concerns. So a quick look at a couple of snapshots here, one of Glasgow and one of Billings. And you can see that, precipitation remains largely flatlined. Since the month of June, we saw a couple of, or May and June, you can see a couple of small systems here and there, but really this flat means we're not seeing much in the way of precipitation. We haven't seen much accumulation. And even though our normals should be continuing to climb, we continue to be somewhat flatlined on the precipitation. You can see the same circumstance with Billings. Really since May, that flat line continuing, you can see a pretty substantial deficit, and they're only looking at about 54% of normal precipitation, and Glasgow continues to be about 36% of normal precipitation. So again, very dry in the Glasgow and Billings regions. And we look out a little bit further out across much of eastern Montana and even down into southeast Montana and a couple of central Montana locations. A lot of areas are continue to be very dry, and this runs through July 5th. We can see 48% of normal precipitation for Webo. Glendive's at 45%. Circle doing a little bit better at 61%, but you can see a lot of this dryness just extends across much of eastern Montana. Miles City 37%, Baker 35%. So a lot of areas in eastern Montana are very much lacking on the precipitation and continuing to be in the midst of a pretty substantial drought. And that brings us to our drought monitor. You can see again much of eastern Montana into the Dakotas in that D3 extreme drought category. Starting to see a little bit of a D4 exceptional drought showing up in central North Dakota. And of course, much of the western United States. You know, as much as this hurts in eastern Montana, just know that across the entire west are seeing a pretty substantial, pretty major drought. That's of course contributing to ongoing fire concerns in the west. And again, keep in mind we're only mid-July, and we've still got a lot to go to get through this fire season and through this summer. So you know, things are very much hurting across the western United States. We zoom in a little bit more on Montana and North Dakota, and you can see that, you know, that extreme drought is now extending down towards central Montana to Fergus County, and extending, you know, kind of down across southeast Montana as well. They've actually seen some recent minor improvement from D3 to D2 across far northeast Montana, because again, Sheridan County is doing just a little bit better when it comes to precipitation. They've gotten some precipitation, showers and thunderstorms, and so conditions there are warranting a little bit of an improvement. But again, with that improvement across far northeast Montana, we've seen some substantial decreases and worsening conditions across central Montana. You can see a fairly large area across much of Montana in D3 extreme drought. I also would like to take this opportunity to, you know, check out these links up here at the top. Please pass on any information you might have about your current drought impacts. If you have any numbers, especially about your operations, especially in the ag world, you know, if you're feeding more or you're having to buy a lot more hay and you're not getting as much hay crop, please pass that information on so the decision makers are well aware of what the actual impacts are on the ground. That information is very vital. So please pass that along. So looking at the next 7 days, what are we looking at? Honestly, it's going to be hot. That's the best way to describe it. Looking for resurging temperatures across much of eastern Montana, going to be in excess of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Looking at warm nights, that means there's not going to be a lot of relief during the overnight hours, and it looks like very much a prolonged period of hot temperatures across eastern Montana for the next week. We have a lot of concerns when it comes to heat health impacts and making sure people have an ability to stay cool, whether that's through air conditioning, you know, limiting time outdoors, or if you don't have air conditioning, finding an alternative cooling source, you know, going to visit somebody or even a cooling center, that sort of thing. It's going to be very vital here because we are looking at such a really hot streak of temperatures across eastern Montana. And of course, with this, and this is going to come as no surprise, but we do have fire weather concerns that are going to come with the hot temperatures. We're looking at potential low relative humidity and windy periods, which can drive those critical fire weather conditions where fires can grow quickly and be difficult to contain. And we are looking for potential for periods of isolated or scattered thunderstorms with this. And on the flip side, you know, generally some of these thunderstorms can be on the dry side and bring us fire starts through lightning. So just a lot of concerns here over the next 7 days. And it's really, you know, hot and dry is really going to be the key over the next week. And again, just some reminders, you know, what can you do? You know, we're Montana, we're one big family. So, you know, take an opportunity to check on friends and family, especially elderly people that you might know, just see how they're doing, make sure that they have a way to stay cool. Again, limit your time outdoors, dress for the weather. And again, just overall be safe and be careful during this hot time. So looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook and just no relief in sight, you can see much of the northern high plains from Minnesota, North Dakota, and into eastern Montana, very much bullseyed for above normal temperatures in the 8 to 14 day time frame, and couple that with favored chances for below normal precipitation across much of the northern high plains. But it is worth noting here that down in the Four Corners area, it looks like maybe some monsoonal moisture will start to push up into the Four Corners, and that's generally a welcome relief. It tends to bring more increased humidity and increased potential for wet thunderstorms. So you can see that starting to nose up into eastern Idaho and western Wyoming as well. So maybe Montana, you know, way out beyond 14 days could maybe start to see a little bit of a pattern shift, but we'll just have to wait and see how that all pans out, I guess, as we go forward. Again, 3 months outlook just released over the next 3 months into the late part of October, still looking for persistent drought, and any movement would be towards expanding those drought conditions. You can see across kind of north central Montana areas there. It looks like a continued degradation for us. And again, this is really an unfortunate forecast that we're looking at, but just no relief in sight. And this couples with that August, September, October timeframe, favored above normal temperatures centered right over Utah and the Great Basin, extending into Montana as well, and coupled with that bullseye of above normal temperatures is a bullseye for below normal precipitation. So just no relief, at least looking for that 3-month outlook into October. November, December, January, however, is a little bit of a shift. We are looking at a return to potential La Nina conditions. We do have a La Nina watch that has been issued, and looks like for that time frame, November, December, January, or late fall and into the winter months, we are favoring above normal chances for precipitation across the Pacific Northwest, and that's edging into far western Montana. And you know, ultimately, much of the state of Montana favoring more equal chances or more normal type temperatures. So maybe way out on the horizon, maybe there'll be a little bit of a shift, and we can pick up some more favorable conditions as we get into the late fall and into the winter months. But that is a long ways out. So at this point, I'd like to end our briefing. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Tom with the Weather Service in Billings. You know, visit us on social media, and again, please take the opportunity to push up any of those drought impacts that you may be seeing out there in the real world to those decision makers. So thank you.